Hey again, it's Steve with Way to the Sun. I'm going to show you how to play Villains. It's a new song, it's pretty rad. This is how it goes. So, what we're going to start out with is finger picking. I usually put the pick in my mouth. I'm going to avoid doing that for the sake of talking to you in this video. But you're going to want to start here on the 5th fret with your ring finger and your pinky finger 2 strings apart. Like this. Now, with your index finger, you're going to bar just about everything else. So imagine you're playing a bar chord. But then our picking pattern is going to determine the entire sound and flow of this part. The way I originally wrote it was to be played like this. Now realistically, all of those bass notes that I'm hitting with my thumb aren't necessary in a full mix. So the notes you really want to focus on, I'll try to highlight a little bit more here. So we'll play this again. On this part, what I'm doing is I'm playing on the 8th fret and then starting at the 11th using my pinky on the next string, then moving back a fret, the next string with my ring, and another fret back onto the 9th with my middle. I'm playing back to the original riff. This is where it enters into the next part. So now we're going to shift into what I like to call the main riff that defines this song, which is just let it ring out and then back in. Notice how the delay is carrying it through that space. Now here's where we're going to flip the distortion on and play that exact same riff with a little bend at the end. I'm going to turn the amp up a little bit so you can hear the feedback that I go for in this part. That previous part is that I'm just bending that last note into kind of a nasty spot where the resonance is a little funky, but it actually helps coerce the amp to feed back like that. And the louder your amp is, the easier it is to get to that point. So what's going to happen after the very 4th time we play through that, it moves into the chorus riff. So let's play that together clean so we can see it a little slower. Starts out the same way. Then we're going to pick these two notes. There's just a little delay before hitting that final note. So instead of playing it, it's more like right there. I'm going to cut off my volume and let those delay trails ring out. And in that last heavy part, notice that only this second note here on the 7th fret gets bent. So all the other ones are played clean and straight. So the volume cuts, and the song goes back to a quiet point again. And it's a really cool dynamic. So it drops back down to this sort of quiet part that builds back up with the drum and the bass and the keyboard or the piano. And eventually I come back in again. When I come back in with the main riff and the song, I'm going to be on a channel of my amp that gives me just a little bit more grit than clean. Kind of like a slightly pushed British clean. And this is what it's going to sound like. I'm going to play this 4 times. On the 4th time, I'm going to change the note to this note with my pinky. That's the signal to go back into the chorus. So going back into the chorus, I'm going to hit this harmonic. That's right in between the 2nd and 3rd fret. So coming out of this last part, right here it cuts and it goes to just drum and bass, and there's like this little sort of power section where it's just drum and bass and then guitar, just drum and bass then guitar, and then a break. The way that plays out for the guitar is there's just this little part that gets repeated twice. So the bass is going dun on, dun on, ch, dun on, ch, dun 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 dun, ch. Dun 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 dun, ch. Dun 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 dun, ch. And then when David, our singer, says because, it comes back in on cuz. It comes back in because. That's Villains.